What's up, Alphas? For those who don't know me already, my name is Starla, and I am the absolute best Etsy coach in the whole wide world. You guys have no idea. I have coached so many people, and I do this like full time. I travel around and oh. Anyway. All right, guys, so I've been looking at a bunch of just Etsy related YouTube videos, just trying to see what is hot right now and what other Etsy YouTubers are talking about, things that are in the news. And one of the most common videos that I saw while I was going through those were what I wish I knew when I started videos. Now, I believe that we did a video like this couple years ago where we did a live Q&A session. It was an hour long, and I think that some of the things that I said have changed a lot now, and I have some different things that I want to add to that. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little reboot video that is, I would say, a little bit different because it's not the average things that you hear all the time. Most of the time when you hear these videos, the creators say things like, oh, I wish I knew I had to pay taxes, things like that. So I want to go more onto a professional scale now that I have, more sales and a little bit more experience. So let's get started. All right, the first thing that I wish that I knew was that being successful on Etsy is going to take more time than a full-time day job. When I first started selling, I thought that I was gonna list my products up on Etsy and that I could just, leave them there and go about my day, and that my phone would give me notifications that I was making sales and everything would just go on autopilot because the work was done, right? The products were listed. That's it. That's all I had to do. But as it turns out, there's a lot more to it. And to be perfectly honest, I have never stopped learning, and every single day I feel like I learn something new. So when I see sellers who say, oh, I'm not making any sales and I've done everything that I can possibly do, you haven't, because there is an infinite number of things that you can do to improve. So if you're not seeing sales, there's obviously some type of gap that you need to fill. You just have to be able to diagnose that gap and figure out what it is that you need to fix. A lack of sales could come from a number of things, like poor SEO. Maybe your photos aren't, great quality, or maybe your photos are just confusing and the shoppers can't tell exactly what it is that you're trying to sell. It could be an issue with your pricing. Maybe shoppers don't understand the value of your products. Maybe you haven't done enough to really explain what the value of your products is, or maybe your photos aren't showing off the value of your products. Now, what often happens is I have sellers message me and they say, oh, I have an Etsy shop and I'm not making any sales. What do I do? And that would be like going to the doctor and saying, oh, doc, I'm having severe stomach pain. What do I do? There's no way to tell what the problem is without a little bit more research. So unfortunately, it can be harder to diagnose these things because you can't just look at a shop and say, oh, that right there, that's the problem. I mean, sometimes if the photos are really bad, those are easy things to diagnose. But a lot of the times, what really needs to happen is you need to dig down into your strategy. What's going on behind the scenes? Are you doing any social media marketing? How are you communicating with your customers? What are you doing to better your shop on Etsy and off of Etsy? So, thing number one that I wish I would have known was that it's a lot more work than what you originally think when you jump on Etsy for the first time. However, once you get that ball rolling and you start building momentum, it gets so much easier. Not to mention, it starts to get a little bit more fun when you actually start seeing the rewards come in for all of those efforts, and you start making sales, and you start getting good reviews, and people start raving about your products. Thing number two, and this is a weird one, it might be a little controversial, but the one thing that I guess I didn't really expect was that the quality of my products actually meant less than the overall atmosphere of my storefront. On Etsy, atmosphere is everything. This is the impression that is made within 7 seconds by the shopper who clicks on your shop. Building an atmosphere is all about building the feelings that you want someone to experience when they enter your storefront. You have to positively define those feelings and know exactly how you want them to feel about your brand. And the way that you do this is through branding, through having great photos, through your about section, and all of the visible branding elements that we have on our Etsy storefronts so that we can let people know how they need to feel when they enter your shop. For example, if we had a shop that sold super soft, fluffy baby blankets, we automatically would want those people coming into our shops to feel warm and fuzzy. So we probably wouldn't make our branding have flames and tigers and things like that, right? Now, that's an obvious example, but I see this all the time with brands who just don't give anything to cling on to, and they don't tell me how I should feel. Therefore, I don't have any feelings at all. It's the brands that create a feeling that are the brands that people naturally gravitate towards. Because when we know how we're supposed to feel about a particular product, it gives us an expectation of how that product is going to make us feel when we buy it and when we actually have it in our hands. Now, a good example of this is when you look at things like Better Homes and Garden magazine. I don't know if everybody in the world has Better Homes and Gardens, but you can easily Google it and look at the type of photos that they use. You could also look at something like Pottery Barn or even Target and start looking at the way that some of these products are marketed. Look at the lifestyle that these brands are trying to create for these products. And these are the type of lifestyles that their shoppers are trying to aspire towards. If you see a beautiful kitchen and there are some nice kitchen canisters and you're trying to sell those kitchen canisters, what you're doing is you're showing the overall lifestyle that those kitchen canisters are going to help to complete. So this might be an example where in your actual shop banner, your cover photo, you have a beautiful kitchen, that these canisters would fit into, and you create the frame in which your products fall into, therefore giving people basically exactly how you want them to feel. Within 7 seconds, your shopper should have a feeling already about your shop. And whether or not you have, some indicators in your shop sprinkled around that kind of guide them towards that feeling, they're gonna have a feeling regardless. So your best bet is to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to sway them in the direction that you want them to feel through your branding, through your colors. So make sure that you're learning a little bit about color psychology. We actually teach more about color psychology in the Handmade Alpha Academy. But that's one of my favorite ways to kind of positively sway people. Plus, you should also be thinking about things like your product photos, the backgrounds that you're using for those photos, and the props that you're using. For example, if you make wonderful scented soap and you use rose petals in your soap, maybe you should sprinkle a couple rose petals in the background of your photo so that they're slightly blurred out. That way someone gets a sense of what your product is since they can't actually smell it through the screen. So that's number 2. The atmosphere is actually more important than the products themselves, because it doesn't matter how great those products are. If the atmosphere sucks and the photos suck and someone just doesn't get good fuzzy feelings when they enter your shop, they're less likely to buy from you. Lastly, thing number 3 that I wish I would have known: getting education is important. It is important to educate yourself along your journey. But if you never apply anything that you learn, it's just a waste of time. So my big thing is that you're going to fail. You're going to fail multiple times. And if you don't fail, then you're probably not trying hard enough, because every time that you jump into a new experience or try something new, there is a very high potential for failure. But from those failures is how we learn, and from those failures is how we grow. Now, when I first started on Etsy, I spent a lot of my time just Googling things: how to do this better on Etsy, how to make more sales on Etsy, how to, heighten my conversion rates on Etsy, how to get more customers on Etsy, and every single blanket term that I'm sure that we've all Googled at some point or another. And to be honest, every time that I did that, it really seemed like people were just regurgitating the exact same tips and advice over and over and over again, and I never really learned anything new. And that was because I was looking at all of these things And I was assuming that just Googling the answer to my questions would give me some new insight that no one else on Etsy had. When in reality, when every single Etsy seller is Googling the exact same things, how to make more sales, how to do more of this, we're all getting the exact same information and we're all using that same information, right? And if we're all using the same information, then no one is getting ahead. So what I learned how to do was to instead dive deeper into the things that really make businesses tick. So rather than just looking at Etsy, I expanded those horizons and I started looking at things like marketing psychology, neuromarketing, general human psychology, and behavioral psychology, and things that really could explain the behavior of my customers, but weren't necessarily linked back to business in general. Now, obviously, through all of this, I was able to do a lot more than just run a successful Etsy shop. I am on YouTube for this reason. I like to share some of these really cool things that I've found because I know that a lot of Etsy content out there is just regurgitated the same things over and over. And I'm trying to take some of the really cool, weird things that I've kind of molded together on my own and give them to you guys because I know that there isn't a lot of content available like this. At the same time, I highly encourage you guys to spend your time reading some of the same books that I've read. We actually have a whole list of those. Link down below to the Handmade Alpha Facebook community if you're interested. Go into the file section, look at our resource library, and start looking at the list of books that I have in there because those books are some of the ones that have changed my entire life. Now, little selfless plug, those are all affiliate links, but we donate 100% of the money that we make through our Amazon affiliate center to the Wolf Conservation Center of South Salem, New York, which is why we're the Handmade Alphas, right? Regardless though, guys, be sure to dig deep when it comes to your education. That's why I created this channel. That's why I constantly try to stay relevant in the Etsy community to give you guys things that I've kind of concocted on my own and weird little formulas that I've pieced together with this psychology book and that psychology book and this experience that I had with a customer and how these psychology things, helped me to deal with this customer. That's what this is all about. So, guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and if you would like me to coach you personally, my own Handmade Alpha Academy will be opening this Sunday, which is June 14th, if you're watching this video a little bit late, and it will be closing on June 23rd. If this is your first time hearing about it, the Handmade Alpha Academy is my 9-module online course that will guide you through the exact steps that I took to become a 6-figure seller on Etsy. Now, unlike a lot of the Etsy crash courses out there, we don't just focus on things like, here's how you list a photo, here's how you take good photos, here's how you create a listing. What we do is so much different because we incorporate in a lot of the psychological triggers that I've talked about today and neuromarketing tactics that most Etsy sellers just aren't aware of. And to my knowledge, no Etsy coaches out there cover. The entire course is self-paced, which means there's no weird login times and you don't have to unlock any of the lessons and modules and you don't have to complete this by this date. Everything is pre-recorded, ready to go, and you have access to all of it from the moment that you enroll. Not to mention, we have a huge vault of bonuses that you can use after you complete Handmade Alpha Academy that will help you to continue your education after you complete the course. At this time, we have over 500 successful students who are there to help you if you need any assistance along the way. Plus, you have direct access to myself and my husband, Mark, and our personal email addresses that are actually linked to our phones if you ever need to message us in a crazy emergency, like your Etsy shop is having some crazy catastrophe and you don't know what to do and Etsy support won't answer. We will help you. Plus, I should also mention that if you get into the course and you absolutely hate it and you can't stand my crazy hair or my voice, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee on the entire program, and all you have to do is email my husband Mark within 30 days. He won't ask any questions. He will refund you. So, no risk, guys. This is an amazing program. I put it together over 2 years ago, but we're constantly in there updating. I actually am in the process of adding a brand new SEO Dominance 2.0 lesson that should be in there later this week, I'm hoping. So that's something that new students are going to get to experience for the very first time. Oh, and little fun fact, all students this year are going to receive 12 paid months of eRank Pro with their enrollment, because I love you guys so much and I want to make sure that you have the very best Etsy SEO tools available to you. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, or if you just want to learn more about the program, there's a link down below to our HAA waiting list. Now, signing up for that waiting list will not obligate you to buy. However, what it will do is ensure that you're notified when it opens, since the window is very small, and it's going to get you a $1,000 discount on your enrollment price to HAA. Either way, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye!